Hey, welcome back, you guys. This is week 2 of online learning, and I hope you're doing okay. I got to visit with a couple of you during the online conference time this week. It was really fun to see your faces, and I'm thinking about you, and I hope you're hanging in there and doing all right. I noticed that some of you are waiting till like the last possible second to get your work in, or maybe you're not doing it at all. So just to double check, a lot of this work is formative, and so I'll be putting in incompletes, but the district is asking that I still grade you, and we have a summative assignment this week, so it would be important for you to, at a bare minimum, participate in the online graded discussion. So I want to show you where to find your assignments for week 2. If you need to go back and look at this video, I'm going to stick it in the attendance folder, but we also, I left you a note here. We don't need to do attendance anymore because, I mean, like you, I'm sleeping in. I'm not like getting up at 8 to take attendance. And so you're supposed to just work at school on your own timeline. So in our Vietnam folder, let's go down and look and see what is in line for this week. So if you were drafted, now you are going to have to get in gear and do your one-page interview. And I do acknowledge that you don't have anybody to interview, so you're going to have to just choose one of the videos or one of the links that I've posted here for you to write up what was somebody's experience in the Vietnam War. And please also include your opinion of the draft in that write-up. And so this is a 50-point assignment for people who were drafted due by midnight on the 12th. And so that assignment's going to lock if you have not turned in your one-page write-up. So that's important for the Army. But then again, that might feel unfair, and I wanted you to have those thoughts about the draft so that you could use that energy in our graded discussion. You should feel like perhaps that counterculture should have had to do that assignment as well. So week 2, I have an assignment in here related to the counterculture about the music of the 1960s, and this link has an analysis of different lyrics. You have to decide if that was a pro-war or anti-war song. And if you want, you could like just read the lyrics. If you want to listen to some of these songs from Bob Dylan and from Buffalo Springfield, I tried to find some links that would take you to some visual also. So I look like kind of a fun assignment, I thought. I mean, as far as like work could be anyway. And then also, I have 2 lectures that wrap up the end of the Vietnam War. And in these lectures you probably would want to take some notes so that you have things that you could write about in the graded discussion. So the lectures are found right here, end of Vietnam War lectures. And I'm sorry, my voice is dorky, and I think I even double recorded myself. So just sorry all the way around. But here is lecture on the end of the war. So this is going to talk about how Nixon really escalates the war and moves it to Cambodia. So I want you to look at the costs of the war and how it ended. And then I also want you to watch this one for arguments for and against the war, to start thinking, what are your strongest arguments going to be when you do your graded discussion? So watch both of those. Then the graded discussion, this is going to be the biggie. This is a 50-point summative assignment. So you are going to go into this assignment here and you're going to create a thesis position statement. Was our involvement of the United States justified or not justified back in the 60s and into the 70s? Please use complete sentences and spell check. Some of you don't take the time to do that, but I do take off points if you have been careless. And then historical information. So hopefully you were writing down some notes during the movie, or you were writing down some notes during my lectures so that you have those dates, those facts, those names to put in your position paper. And then use of documents. You are going to use 3 of the Vietnam documents, and they are right here. And they're a mix of some speeches and some political cartoons and some song lyrics. And you are going to choose the three that, like, here is the Great Society. Should we have been spending our time and money on our civil rights issues, or should we be going into Vietnam? What about the draft? Was that fair? Here it's the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. That's they shot at us, so should we have gone to war? Here is that Fixin' to Die rag that's from the music activity, but Country Joe McDonald and the Fish, that song's hilarious, I think. Here's Richard Nixon talking about how we're going to have peace and dignity in our withdrawal from Vietnam. This is the justification for helping South Vietnam against the Northern Communists. But then I also stuck in a picture of a napalm attack. Like, should we be using those conventional weapons? And the horror, the death. You can argue that the Viet Cong were brutal and needed to be stopped, or you could also argue that our patrol missions were too violent. And here's President Johnson talking about our efforts to help stop this domino of countries falling to communism. And what's document J? Document J is death toll. So choose three, and then you are going to wait. After you put your whole position paper together, you have to respond to 2 other students. And I shared in my other video that since some of you are waiting till like the last possible second, till like midnight, to post your homework, that wouldn't make sense for this graded discussion. And since people are jumping in at all different times of the week, make your post and then come back later or refresh and see if other people have posted. And then you have to respond to someone on the other team. If you've forgotten which team you're supporting, you can get in here and see who's in the establishment, who's in the counterculture, and notice that some people their paperwork was approved and they were able to get deferments. But you have to argue in your position, and you have to respond to 2 other students. You do not need to use documents to respond to the other students. But then I have this asterisk here that if you choose to respond to more students, if you use more documents, that can definitely help your overall score. So I said additional use of DBQ documents will help your overall grade, as well as engaging critically with more than 2 students. So that is all of your week 2. Next week, week 3, we're going to get into the 1970s. We're going to talk about Watergate. We're going to look at the energy crisis. We're going to look at Carter's administration. And then the week after that, we're going to get into Reagan. So that's just giving you an outline, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing this online till the end of school. So, all right. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and later.